All right, hello everyone. I hope everyone's doing very, very well. Today's session is a special session because we're going to discuss the last question paper that just happened. If you're looking at the November exam or even the exam later on, it's very important to have a look at what is asked in the examination by ICAI. It gives you a very good idea of what is going to be asked in your exam. But before that, we're talking about CA Inter and we're talking about tax, a little about what we're offering at CA Inter level. I'm just going to share with you a small PPT, a couple of seconds, a couple of few seconds we will spend on that. Guys, welcome on board. Yeshas, along with Unacademy, is offering you a full English class for CA Inter starting on August 4th. Group 1 and Group 2 both. And if you subscribe to Unacademy, you will get access to all the top faculties which are there part of Yeshas, which are now also part of Unacademy. As you can see here, Dhananjay, Mayur, Vijayaraja sir, Ravikant sir, and Rajavardhan, all of these guys will be helping you crack your CA Inter exams really well. Group 2 also here, again, Ahmed sir, Kartik Iyer, Neeta Mangal ma'am, a lot of great faculties on board for you to crack your exams really well. So one subscription will get you multiple benefits, and not just this panel, you will get access to everyone that is on board for the CA Inter part. If you subscribe, it's a limited period offer. Use the code YESHAS to get 12 months subscription, get 2 months subscription extra free. Also, there are many bundled offers. You can look at those limited time offers. And here on the screen, guys, are all the educators in one frame. So you get access to the best of the best educators at one subscription. So I hope you subscribe to them. And now, guys, back to our discussion on the CA Inter tax exam. The July 21 exam was a really nice exam, something that you could score really well. My name is Saurabh Mutha, and I've been an educator at Unacademy. I'm going to be taking a crash course starting August 11th. So, in case you want to revise, re-revise, do the entire tax in a very short manner, concise manner, exam-driven manner, then please attend my crash course, which starts on August 11th. It's going to be 5 hours every day for 14 days, and in about 60 to 70 hours, we will cover the entire tax, all the sections, subsections, clauses, every shortcut, tips and tricks to remember, and I can ensure and I can promise that you will get great marks in your tax exam. That's for sure if you attend the tax crash course. Also, of course, we have the tax regular course also, which is starting in August. Vijay Rajara sir is going to be taking that course, and I'll be taking the crash course starting on August 11th. Let's have a look at the exam question. The recent July 21 examination. Let's have a look, guys, because it's very simple. And as you see in college exams also, the if you understand the way the ICAI asks exam, your examination also goes really smooth. It's never a repeated question, but the pattern of asking you question is almost very similar to the ones that are asked previously. This is maximum mark 70. Why is this only 70 marks? Because, guys, 30 marks is MCQ, and MCQ sheet is given separately for which you have to mark in the OMR sheet. This is of 70 marks. This covers both DT as well as IDT is covered here, and this is all the theoretical questions. I'm straight away going to go to the DT portion. And as and when we read the question, I'm going to discuss it with you guys. And if you've already started studying well, you should be able to answer a lot of these very easily. Mr. Ashish here is a resident individual. Resident basically means that he'll have higher basic exemption limit. This, by the way, is the first compulsory question, and we're starting off with DT. He's aged 43 years. The moment they give you age, they also sometimes expect you to calculate tax. Provides professional services in the field of interior decoration. So he's a professional. His income and expenditure account for the year ended 21 is as under. As consultancy charges are perfectly okay. Interest on PPF account, although it's given here, but you will have to remove it because this one is exempt. As you know, as interest on a PPF account up to 9.5% is exempt. Interest on saving account, it is here. So you have to take it in IFOS. But please remember, guys, there is a deduction called 80 It's a hidden deduction for people who are below 60 years. This guy is 60 years or 60 years, below 60 years. He will get a deduction under 80 TTA of maximum 10,000. This is only given to individuals and HUF, and Mr. Ashish is an individual. So this is covering the income part. Interest on national savings certificates, 21,000. There is no deduction on this. This will be taxable. Again, this is an IFOS and this will be taxable. So PGBP, exempt income and IFOS income, and there's a hidden deduction here, which I already have discovered. To employees' remuneration and benefits, this seems okay. To office administrative expenses, this seems okay. We'll see in the additional points what they're talking about. General expenses, this seems okay. Electricity expenses, this seems okay. Medical expenses, this seems okay. Purchase of furniture doesn't seem all right because whenever you purchase furniture for PGBP, you can only minus depreciation, not the entire thing. So there'll be some problem here. To depreciation 90,000, I don't know how they've calculated depreciation, but we have to calculate it using block of assets method at the rates prescribed by the Income Tax Act. So maybe there's some problem here as well. To excess of income over expenditure, this is our starting point. This, guys, is what you will start off with. 39 lakh 43,000. From this, whatever incomes are not part of PGBP. So PGBP 58 lakh 80,000, no problem. But 60,000 you have to remove, saying that it's exempt. 20,000 and 21,000 also you'll have to remove, saying that it will be taxable under IFRS. Let's see what they're asking us. But assuming, guys, they're asking us for calculation of total income and tax. Let's see what they're asking us. The first question is generally a total income question. So you have to calculate all the 5 heads and find out the total income. You also have to do clubbing and set off maybe and find out the tax liability of Mr. Ashish. He has not opted for 115 BSc. So that is one headache less. We don't have to see as per 11 BSc. We only have to see normal tax liability. Ignore provisions of AMT. Also one more headache less. No AMT provisions. So normal computation of total income. So now that we know that, we'll start off with 39 lakh 43,000 and we'll make adjustments. Everything that has to be with IFRS we'll remove and we'll put in IFRS. Otherwise, PGBP looks okay. Let's look at the additional points. The expenses of employees' remuneration and benefits includes, that means this amount here, it includes some things. So we're talking about this one. Let's see what happens, and what they're talking about is 13 lakh 66,000. Family planning expenditure of 20,000 incurred for the employees, which was revenue in nature. The same was paid through account paycheck. This almost seems like right, but guys, there's a small trick, and that's where ICI asks you. They only question your exceptions. Many times you see they question the exceptions in section 36(1)(9). If you've been my student, you know the story. There's my entire DT and IDT at inter level goes to a story of a surgeon, and in the surgeon's case, his employees were having nine kids, so he spent money on family planning. But for an individual, you don't get this deduction. Only companies get it. So this 20,000 will have to be added. You've minused it, you'll have to add it back. That's the first one. Let's look at the second one. Payment of salary 25,000 per month to sister-in-law of Mr. Ashish, who was in charge of accounts and receivables department. However, in comparison to similar work profile, the reasonable salary in market rates is 20,000. So you are paying 5,000 extra to a person who is related. So there is a section called section 48(2) to specified persons, and the sister-in-law is a specified person. If you're paying excessive, that 5,000 into 12. Please remember, guys, that is monthly. 60,000 rupees you'll have to add it because you minused it, you'll have to add it now. Two adjustments done, every adjustment will get you marks. Every section will get you marks. Amount received by Mr. Ashish as employee's contribution to EPF. Guys, this is not his money. This is the slave's money. If you've been my student, you know employer is master, slaves are the employees. This is the employee's money. For the month of February, 10,000 had to be deposited on time. Was also deposited after the due date. Guys, if you deposit after, unfortunately for this, you will not get a deduction. So this one, you will not get a deduction. So if you've taken it, you'll have to add it. So I'm going to add 10,000, assuming this has already been taken. Medical expenses, guys. Let's see what they're talking about. Medical expenses. Medical expenses of 80,000 appearing above in the income and expenditure account was expense for the treatment of the father. As is the personal expense. So first up, I'm going to add 80,000 because this is not related to PGB. But I remember medical expenses or medical insurance can get a deduction under 80D. So let's see that. His father was 72 years old, that means senior citizen, and was not covered by any health insurance policy. The said payment of 80,000 was made to account pay check. So guys, if your parents, remember 80 section 80D, there are two parts, you, your spouse and your children, and the other part your parents. If your parent cannot be insured and you have to incur any expenditures, then maximum up to 50,000 rupees you can take a deduction, provided they are senior citizen, assuming here they're also a resident. General expenses appearing in the income and expenditure account. Guys, now we are done with those expenses. We're talking about general expenses. So we are done with this adjustments. Now we're talking about the general expense of 75,000. Let's see what they have to talk about that. General expenses appearing in the income and expenditure account includes a sum of 25,000 paid to Mrs. Angeline on 5th February 2021. That is during the year, because the year for this purpose is 2021. As commission for securing work from new clients, this payment was made to her without deduction of TDS. Guys, that's something that is not acceptable. Section 40A1A. Of course, section 40A1 is for payments abroad or to non-resident, but this is payment in India. Assuming, guys, this is for new clients in India, interior decoration. So if you don't deduct TDS, then 30% of this, 30% of this, that is 7,500 will be added. But don't worry, in the next year, whenever you pay the TDS deduct and pay, you will get the deduction. The written down value of depreciable assets as of the start of the year was as follows: professional books 90,000. This is depreciated at 40%, and computers are also depreciated at 40%. So whatever depreciation you've given, you'll have to add that because that is not as per the Income Tax Act, and you'll have to minus 90,000 into 40%, that is 36,000, plus 35,000 into 40%, that is totally 50,000 you will minus. So you will add the depreciation given as per this accounts, books of accounts, and you will minus it as per the Income Tax Act. That's one more adjustment down. The new furniture as appearing in the income and expenditure account was purchased on 31st August 2020 and put to use on the same day. Guys, you purchase new furniture and you put to use on the same day. This is more than 180. 180 or more, so you'll get full year's depreciation. Congratulations, you'll get full year's depreciation, but you will get only depreciation. There you've taken the entire cost of furniture. So I'm going to add the entire 40,000 or 48,000 back. I'm going to add it back, and I'm only going to minus. So I'm going to add 48,000 first because that is wrong. Whatever is wrong, you have to correct it, and you will minus only depreciation. But here, wait a minute. 18,000 has been paid in cash at the time of purchase. So 18,000 I will ignore. So this you will not get as cost. So you'll not get depreciation also on it. That is a punishment because you're paying in cash. Section 48(3) says you cannot pay any cash. 19,000 were paid by account pay check. That is no problem. 19,000 is perfectly okay. And 11,000 paid in cash to a transporter. Before you write off this 11,000, remember guys, to a transporter you can pay maximum 35,000 rupees. So this is perfectly okay. So 19 and 11 is okay. That means 30,000 is okay. Depreciation on furniture is 10%, full year's depreciation. So you'll get 3,000. So you'll add 48, but only minusing you'll get 3,000 because the other has been paid in cash. Excellent, guys. Mr. Ashish purchased a car. Guys, he purchased it in 1920. The year he purchases in 1920 for 3,35,000 personal use. Many of us purchase a car for personal use. However, during the year 2021, he brought the said car for use in the profession. Now that he brought it in profession, guys, you will have to calculate depreciation. How will you calculate it? It's brought into use on 30th April. That means full year's depreciation. But at what value? The fair market value. Yes, the fair market value. Only in case of building, guys, there's an explanation to section 43(1), the fifth explanation, which says that only in case of building, if you have a personal building which is introduced in the business, then you have to minus notional depreciation. But in other cases, you have to take the fair market value. So on 2,50,000, you'll have to depreciate on cars at the rate of 15%. So this much will be the depreciation on 2,50,000 into 15% will be 37,500 you will minus as depreciation on that car. Ashish made a contribution of 1 lakh to his PPF account, appreciated, but this one is on deductions under section 80C. 80C deductions cannot exceed 1.5 lakhs, but here it looks like there's only one deduction. The gross professional receipts of Ashish was 52 lakhs. Guys, that's the gross professional receipts is 52 lakhs. What they're trying to say is in the last year, he was subject to audit, that is 52 lakhs. So find out the total income and the tax liability, guys. Fairly simple question for which you will get how many marks it is? 14 marks, guys, for a fairly simple question. I see as gift to you guys. If you remember the section, subsections, clauses, you should have no problem. And if you've been my student, then you exactly know the shortcuts to remember all these sections that we just saw. Let's look at the next one, guys. Mrs. Rohini, aged 62 years. Again, there's a lady, Rohini. She's 62 years. The moment it crosses 60, in your mind, you should think about senior citizen, senior citizen. That should ring a bell. Senior citizen should ring a bell. All right, let's look at the second question, guys. Mrs. Rohini, 62 years. That means she's a senior citizen, was born and brought up in New Delhi. She got married in Russia, very, very nice country to get married in 1996, and she settled there since then. Definitely a non-resident. Since her marriage, she visits India for 60 days each year during her summer break. The following are the details of her income for the previous year ended 21. I'm very curious to know what they want us to ask. This, guys, is an optional question, but we will do all of them. 6 marks you will get. You're required to ascertain the residential status of Mrs. Rohini and then compute her total income and tax liability in India. So 3 things. One is residential status, then total income, and then tax liability. First, let's calculate residential status. Guys, whenever it's residential status, section 6, you'll look at section 6(1) talks about individual. And the first basic question, guys, is stay in India greater than or equal to 182 days. Of course, her stay is only for 60 days every year, so this one is not there. You move towards the second question, but then you're gently reminded, guys, the second basic question does not apply to Indian citizens and residents, persons of Indian origin who are visiting India. She looks like an Indian citizen. That's because she's born and brought up in India. So we'll use an assumption that she's an Indian citizen, and hence the second basic question does not apply. So congratulations, Mrs. Rohini is a non-resident. Why do I congratulate her? Because as a non-resident, she has to pay incomes taxes on only few incomes. If you've been my student, you know the shortcut. Otherwise, I'll tell you the shortcut, guys. For a non-resident, only dear income is taxable in India. What is this dear income? Income that is received in India. So Rohini, if she's received some income in India, or if any income is accruing in India, like a fixed deposit in India, or if it is earned in India, like from selling of a share in India or land in India, or those 8 incomes which are deemed to income earned in India. So if it's received or accruing or earned or deemed to accrue, right, those 8 incomes which are given in section 9, for which also we have a shortcut ISSD IRF gifts, if you know, then only then Rohini's income will be taxable in India. So first question done, she's a non-resident, and for a non-resident there is no ROR, so we'll keep it there. Next, guys, we'll continue and we'll see which of the incomes are dear income in India. Pension received from the Russian government. This is not taxable in India because received in Russia, it's not dear to India at all. So I'm putting a cross on that. Long-term capital gain on sale of land at New Delhi. Guys, this is computed already. That means you've done all the calculations. This one will be taxable. She'll have to pay tax at the rate of 20% under section 112. If you remember, long-term capital gain on sale of land in New Delhi. Why is it taxable? Because it is earned in India, guys. Next, short-term capital gain on sale of shares of Indian listed companies. This will also be taxable. This will be taxable at the rate of 10% under section 111A. Sorry, short term, yes, 111A. This will be taxable at the rate of 15%. My bad, because short term capital gain. And STT paid. STT paid, guys, this is already computed. Thank God we don't have to work around it. So we'll have to tax this at 15% under 111A. But please remember, against both these, you can also use the basic exemption limit. But she's a non-resident, so she might not be getting that benefit. Premium paid to Russian life insurance, guys. Life is precious wherever it is. So even if you pay to Russian life insurance, you'll still get this deduction. Under 80C, you'll get a deduction of 75,000. Whatever Rohini's income is, you will get 80C deduction of 75,000. Rent received equivalent to annual value in respect of house property in New Delhi is 90,000. Guys, this is not computed. This is the annual value. You know from annual value what you minus 30% in interest. Interest we don't know. We'll minus 30% from this. So 90,000 into 70% is 63,000. That's her income from house property. We have to compute it. So you've required the residential status, that is done. Compute the total income. This is not included in the total income. Rest everything is done. You'll deduct the deduction also of 75,000 and the tax liability. Guys, her income will be 3 lakh plus 60,000 plus 63,000. I repeat, it will be 3 lakh plus 60,000 plus 63,000, and she's a resident. So on the first 2.5 lakh rupees, she's a senior citizen. But guys, you know, non-residents don't get higher basic exemption limit. Non-residents don't get rebate. They don't vote in India, hence they don't get a lot of benefits. So up to 2.5 lakhs, she will not pay any tax. Up to 2.5 lakhs, she will not pay any tax. Of course, on this 3 lakhs, she will pay at the rate of 20%. On this 60,000, she'll pay at the rate of 15%. And the other income she will pay as per slab rates. That's Rohini's income. That's 6 marks again to you. Congratulations. Let's look at the next question on TDS. In inter exam, guys, one question on TDS is definitely there. So you need to give the TDS provisions. You have to specify the rate. Please remember for the year 2021, because it was COVID impacted rate. So you have a 25% discount on the rates. Please remember that. The amount to be required to be deducted at source. In each case, assume that all the payments are made to residents. So non-residents, yes, at CA inter level, they don't ask non-residents. Let's take the first one, guys. Mr. Kale is receiving pension from the central government. That means, guys, he's an individual and who's earning pension, someone who's old and receiving pension. So this guy is an individual. He has made contractual payment during April 2020 for his reconstruction of his residential house. Guys, the moment you see contractual payment, first you think of 194C. But guys, 194C is not applicable first to personal purposes. It is also not applicable to those individuals and those HUFs who are not subject to audit. This guy does not have any business. He's not subject to audit. So please remember, this is personal and it's not subject to audit. So 194C does not apply. But of course, there is a section called 194M. If you know my shortcuts, this is 194M. This is misuse. 194M says justify his case. If you remember my shortcut, J, H, and C, if you make these payments, and if the payments are more than 50 lakh, here it is more than 50 lakh, then on that you will have to deduct TDS at the rate of 5%, and on that they will be giving a discount of 75%, sorry, 25% discount. So 5 into 75%, that is 3.75%. You'll have to deduct TDS on 52 lakh 50. 52 lakh 50 into 3.75% is 1 lakh 96,875. So 1 lakh 96,875 is what you need to deduct and pay to the government under section 194M. Here are some of your more marks. Mr. Rahul, a wholesale trader of spices. That means Rahul is doing a business whose turnover was 5 crore in the financial year 1920 in the previous year. That means, guys, this guy is definitely auditable. He's subject to audit. He has made contract payment for construction of an office godown during January to March to Mr. Akhilesh, an individual. So under 194C, now he has to deduct TDS. Rahul is someone who is subject to 194C. 194C, the rates are 1% and 2%, and that too after a discount, it will be 0.75%. So on 50 lakh, 0.75%, that is 37,500. Why only 1%? Because the payer, the receiver is an individual, that is Mr. Akhilesh. Some more marks to you guys. Congratulations. Mr. Golu, an individual carrying on garment trading business with a turnover of 95 lakhs in 1920. Guys, Golu is not subject to audit. Although he's doing a business, he's not subject to audit. So let's see what that means. He's paying commission to Mr. Vinay. Guys, commission is paid to anyone who helps you, and that's the reason section 194H comes into picture. H is helper, if you remember. That is where you pay brokerage and commission. So you are paying 194H commission, but remember 194H does not apply to small individuals in nature who are not subject to audit. So Mr. Guru will not fall under 194H. But 194M applies to justify his case to H, but that is only above 50 lakh. This payment is not above 50 lakh. So no TDS. Congratulations, Mr. Golu, no TDS, and to you because you scored some marks. There's a bank called XYZ Urban Cooperative Bank is making a payment by way of cash withdrawal by a company which or a partnership firm amounting to 1.2 crores during the financial year 2021. The firm has filed its returns for the last 3 financial years. Guys, as you know, there's a section where if you withdraw too many notes, 194N is a shortcut for notes. Every section has a shortcut. 194N is notes. If you withdraw a lot of notes, then above 1 crore rupees, they will deduct TDS at the rate of 2%. On this, there is no discount because this one is not on a regular basis. This is for checking why are you withdrawing so much of cash at the time when the government says Paytm karo. So hence 194N says you will deduct TDS at the rate of 2% only on the excess amount. This is a rare case where only on the excess amount above 1 crore, that is on 20 lakh, you will deduct TDS at the rate of 2%. That is 4,000 the bank will deduct. Guys, these are A, B, C, D, and this is your marks on TDS. Let's move towards the next question immediately. Dear guys, let's see. This is a question on IFHP, my favorite for CA Inter. This one is really, really interesting and it looks complicated, but it's really, really simple. Mr. Ramesh constructed a big house. In India, a big house, congratulations. Construction completed in the previous year, 2008-9, many years back, with 3 independent units. Imagine 3 floors. Unit 1, which is 50% of the floor area, is let out for residential purpose at a monthly rent of 15,000. I'm focusing on that. That is Unit 1, which I'm going to call as LOP, and which I'm going to write 50% because everything has to be proportional, guys. It is let out at 15,000. There are 2 parts to it, guys. Any LOP, there are 2 parts always: actual rent and expected rent. Actual rent is 15,000, and assuming, guys, it's given out for the whole year into 12. So that is 1,80,000. I believe that's the. I'm just going to calculate. 1 into 12 is 1,80,000. For small calculations, also use a calculator. That's a sign of a true CA. A sum of 3,000 could not be collected from the tenant, and a notice to vacate the unit has been given. Guys, this is unrealized rent. This is just like bad debt, and you can minus it if you fulfilled 4 conditions. The 4 conditions are that you should tell him to vacate. You should not be giving him any other house of yours. You should have taken legal steps for him to vacate, and the tenancy should be bona fide. So this is what I minus. So 1,77,000 is what it is. No other property of Mr. Ramesh is occupied by the tenant. Unit 1 remains vacant for 2 months when it is not put to any use. Guys, it's completely vacant, no SOP, no LOP, nothing. But remember, vacancy can be minus only when AR is greater than ER. So we'll first figure ER, and only if AR is greater will be minus vacancy loss. So I'm putting vacancy loss, but I'm not writing anything right now because I don't know whether to minus that or not. But anyways, 2 months, so 30,000, maybe we'll minus, maybe we'll not, depends upon ER. ER, guys, I'm going to calculate here. because there is less space. ER is municipality figures the standard. Municipal rate, municipal value of fair rent subject to standard rate. That's the shortcut. Municipality figures the standard. Next is unit 2. 25% of the floor area is used by Mr. Ramesh for the purpose of his business. As when you're using it for your business, there is no SOP, there is no LOP, nothing. So don't worry about unit 2 at all. So unit 2 is no problem at all. While unit 3 is utilized for purpose of residence. So unit 3 is our SOP, which is 25%. Guys, in SOP, you know, everything is GAV, municipal tax, NAV, everything is nil, nil, nil. Only interest deduction you'll get. Let's see if there is any interest deduction. We haven't seen it yet. Let's see the details. Other particulars of the house are as follows. Municipal valuation for the entire house is 1,88,000. So for 50% is how much, guys? 1,88,000 divided by 2 is 94,000. That's municipal valuation. Fair rent is 2,48,000 divided by 2. 2,48,000 divided by 2 is 1,24,000. That is fair rent, 1,24,000. But subject to standard rent is 2,28,000 divided by 2 is 1,40,000. So here we've got our expected rent, guys. Expected rent does not care about your unrealized rent, vacancy loss, nothing. It doesn't care about anything. So 94 or 1,24,000 subject to ceiling of 114. So 114 is your expected rent. And congratulations, because your AR is more now, you can deduct vacancy loss. So 30,000 are minusing vacancy loss because 2 months of rent is vacant. So 1,77,000 minus 30,000 is 1,47,000. Guys, congratulations, you got your GAP. I'm just going to erase this part because now we've got our GAV. From GAV, you know what all to minus. Let's see one by one what all we can minus. So standard rent, all this is done. Municipal taxes are 20,000. Guys, out of 20,000, 10,000 will be here. And 2,500 will be here, but nothing is here because SOP you get no deduction. Everything is nil, only interest deduction, which I will write here. Repairs, 5,000, sorry, you don't get repairs. Interest on capital borrowed for construction is 60,000. Guys, 60,000 has to be split 30 here and some part here. So let's complete LOP first. So guys, this is NAV, 1,37,000 is NAV. From 1,37,000, you get 30% flat deduction, 41,100. This deduction is given under section 24A. Ad hoc deduction is our shortcut for that, if you remember. And 24B is interest. Interest is 60,000. On that, 30,000 will be given here because this is 50%. So 1,37,000 minus 30,000 minus 41,100 is 65,900. That's your LOP, IFHP in LOP. Guys, this one is done. This is LOP. Now let's look at SOP. Guys, SOP will only get interest deduction. 60,000 into 25%. 60,000 into 25%. Why only 25%? Because house is only 25%. SOP. So 15,000 I will minus, and that's my loss from house property, 15,000. All right. Ground rent, nothing. Fire insurance premium paid, nothing, because all of that comes in the ad hoc deduction of 24A. Income of Ramesh from the business is 1,40,000 without debiting house rent and other incidental expenditure. So his PGBP is 1,40,000. His IFHP, guys, you can set off one IFHP against the other. So this loss against this profit. So 65,900 minus 15,000 will give you 50,900. So his total income is 2,99,900. So determine the taxable income of Mr. Ramesh for the year. He does not opt for 115 BSc. This is income of Mr. Ramesh. Congratulations, more marks scoring for all of us. The next one is on capital gain, guys. Examine the taxability of capital gain in the following scenarios for the assessment year 21-22. Determine the taxable amount and the rate of tax applicable. On 28th February 2021, 10,000 shares of XY Limited, a listed company, are sold by Mr. B at 550 per share. That is the moment there is capital gain. You know the shortcut already. ATSCP. Only 5 things you need to figure. Is there an asset which is being sold? Yes, there are shares, listed shares which are being sold. Okay. Is there a transfer? Yes, there is a transfer. What is the sale price? The sale price is 550 per share. So 10,000 shares into 550. So 10,000 into 550 is 55 lakhs. That's your sale price. All right. Cost and period of holding are the only 2 things left, and you get your answer very, very easily. STD was paid at the time of sale of shares. Congratulations. These shares were acquired by him on 5th April 2017. So the period of holding, guys, is almost 4 years. For listed shares, you need only 1 year. So this is long term. Whatever gain, loss, whatever you get, you will get it in 1 year. And the capital gain suddenly becomes taxable when the capital gain suddenly becomes taxable. So here they said that we'll give you a new cost. If you remember section 55(2) AC, remember very cool new cost. If you remember the shortcut, you'll remember this section. They said the old cost of acquisition or the new one, whichever is higher, we will give you. What is the old? How much did you buy it for? 395. And what is the new? New, you have to choose between two. The fair FMV as on that date of Arun Jaitley's speech, that is 390. And finally, the sale price, that is 550. The lower of them, the lower is 390. And 390 or 395, whichever is higher, 395 is higher. So this again is your old cost is also your new cost, because here we've used the formula and 395 it is. So your cost is 395 into 10,000. That looks like 39 lakh 50,000. So you'll minus that 55 lakh minus 13 lakh 9 lakh 50,000. So that is 15 lakh 50,000. And how much, where, how will it be taxed, guys? If you remember section 112A, listed you always tax on the 112A at the rate of 10%, but only above 1 lakh. So only 14 lakh 50 will be taxable. Here, congratulations, are 2 marks more. Mr. A is the owner of a residential house which was purchased in September 2016 for 9 lakh. He sold the said house. Again, capital gain. Again, ATSCP. Is there an asset? Yes. House is an asset. Is there a transfer? Yes, there is a transfer. Is there a sale price? Yes. What is it, guys? 19 lakh is the sale price. But as you know, in case of immovable property, you always check under section 50C, 50 checks. That's a shortcut. You will check the stamp duty value. So 19 lakh into 110%, that is 20 lakh 90,000. But this is not within 110%, is 45 lakh. So your sale consideration will become 45 lakhs, unfortunately. Your cost, guys, your cost is 9 lakhs. But of course, because the long term, how do I know from 2016 to 2020 is long term? Immovable property only requires 2 years. This is more than 2 years. So you'll get indexation benefit, yes. So 9 lakh will be divided by the year of purchase, that is 264, and multiplied by the year of sale, that is 301. So 9 lakh divided by 264 into 301, that gives you about 10 lakh 26,000. This will be your expense, and that is where you get a long-term capital gain. This is taxable at the rate of 20% under section 112. If you remember, long-term capital gain has a special rate. We're looking at the next one, guys. The next one is again on capital gain, but it's a slum sale question. Let's see the next one. All right, the next question, guys, is Mr. Patel, who's a proprietor of Star Stores since 20th May 2018. He has transferred his shop by way of slum sale. Guys, slum sale is section 50B. If you remember Britannia shortcut, section 50B, for a total consideration of 40 lakh. Again, ATSCP. Is there an asset? Yes. Is there a transfer? Yes. What is the sale price? For 40 lakh. So we only need two things now, cost and period of holding. Period of holding is long term because 2018, and this is 3 years, so definitely more than 3 years. So this one, he's selling, slum sale is happening on I think 1st of April 2020. So this is short-term capital gain. This is not long-term. Anyways, indexation you never get. This is short-term. The professional fees and brokerage paid are 80,000. So this will be minus from your cost. This will be minus from your sale price. So 40 lakhs minus 80,000 is your net sale consideration. That is 39 lakh 20,000. Now the only thing required is cost. Let's see the cost, guys. Building is 5 lakh, okay. Furniture is 5 lakh, okay. Debtors is 2 lakh, okay. Other assets 8 lakh, okay. So 20 lakh looks like perfectly okay. Own capital, bank loan, you only minus the liability. So bank loan I'll minus, this creditors I'll minus, and this I'll minus. So these three things I'll minus, and from that I'll get the net worth. No individual value of the asset is considered, no problem. Other assets include trademarks. So this other asset, guys, 8 lakh includes 6 lakh, which is normal, but 2 lakhs, which is trademark, on 1st of April to 2020, that in this year, the first day you bought it, but no depreciation has been provided, but you have to take WDV, guys. So from 2 lakh, I will remove 2 lakhs. So I cannot take 2 lakhs. I will take 2 lakhs into intangible assets are depreciated 25% into 25% is 50,000. So I will only take 1 lakh 50. So this will take 6 lakh and 1 lakh 50. Let's continue. Furniture of 1,50,000 purchased on 5 November 2020, on which no depreciation is provided. So again, guys, furniture has to be separated. 5 lakh will be 3,50,000, on which depreciation has been provided, and 1,50,000 I cannot take after minus depreciation. So 1,50,000 into 10%, but mind you, only half the year because used for less than 180 days. So 7,500 I will minus from this. So 1,50,000 minus 7,500. So I will only take 1,42,500 in case of furniture, and 3,50,000 of course is the other furniture. Unsecured loan includes 50,000 advance received from his wife, which was waived off. So guys, 50,000 I will reduce from here because that is waived off. So I will take only 1,50,000 here. So just putting the calculations, I will take 5 lakh, then I will take 3,50,000, I will take 142,500, I will take 2 lakhs, I will take 6 lakh from other assets and 1,50,000. These are all the assets, and liabilities. I will take 5 lakh, I will take 2,50,000. Here I will take only 1,50,000. That becomes my net worth that I will minus to get my short-term capital gain. That's another few marks for you. Let's score 5 more marks from the next one, which involves clubbing of income as well. All right. Here, Mr. Dharmesh is 45 years old, so I'm putting Dharmesh here. And the wife is Mr. Anandi, I'm putting her here, who's 42 years old. Both are below 60 years. Salary income of Anandi is 9,60,000. It is already computed, so 9,60,000 is computed. Income of minor son A, who suffers from disability, is disabled child. There is no clubbing, so this is son. I'm calling him A. His 1 lakh, his 3,08,000 will be taxable in his own hands. No clubbing, nothing of this kind. So this done, this done. Income of minor daughter C from script writing, guys. That's her own talent. So daughter C, again 1,86,000, no clubbing, nothing. She will pay her own taxes. That is 1,86,000. Income from garment trading business from Mr. Dharmesh, 17,50,000. So this is Dharmesh, 17,50,000. Cash gift received by minor daughter C. C has received a gift on 2nd of October 2020 from friend of the mother on winning a story writing competition. Guys, this gift taxation goes in section 56 to 10. But if you remember step 1, it is money. So go to step 2. It is received, yes, from a mother's friend. So you go to step 3. But this is not more than 50,000. So there will be no tax of this. Income of minor son B. There's another son who's B, who has got scholarship of 1 lakh. Again, his own skill, intelligence, hard work. So no clubbing at all. So A done, B done. But income of minor son B from fixed deposit from Punjab National Bank made out of income earned from scholarship. This is the second level of income. Guys, children don't know how to do second level of income. And hence, this income will be clubbed. So this one we will club. But remember, you'll get a deduction under 1032. As you get a deduction under section 1032 of 1,500 exemption. So only 3,500 will be clubbed. So I'm clubbing 3,500 in the hands of that parent who has income which is higher. Compute the total income of Dharmesh. Dharmesh gets 17,53,500. Of Anandi, Anandi is 9,60,000. Assuming they have not opted for 115 BSc, congratulations, done. 5 more marks, gift to you. Let's move to the next question. The next question is based on Mr. X is a resident individual, submits the following information relevant to the previous year. I see a lot of incomes and a lot of losses, so I know this chapter, this income is from set off. I set off, the moment I have set off, I will put X and I will put 5 heads, 1, 2 heads here, salary income here, IFHP here. 3, 4, 5, let's put here, PGBP will put here, capital gain also we'll put here, and IFOS we will put at the top, IFOS. Let's try and simplify and solve this one. Let's see how this works. Income from salary computed 2,22,000. So I'm putting 2,22,000 here because it has been computed. Income from house property, house in Delhi 22,000. Otherwise, there's a loss. So 2,60,000 plus 20,000. There's a loss of 2,80,000. But a profit of 22, which I can minus directly within the family. So 2,58,000 of loss. This loss they will have to go outside because within the family, step 1 is over. Let's go to PGBP. Textile business has a profit. That's a non-speculative business. 18,000 has a profit. Cosmetic business has a loss. Unfortunately, 22,000 has a loss. Speculative business has a loss, but this loss can be set off only against speculative income, which there is, fortunately, 46,000. Let's do the calculation here itself. 18,000 minus 22,000. So there's a loss of 4,000 here. And 74,000 minus 46,000, there's a loss of 28,000 here. But unfortunately, this speculation loss, it has to be carried forward. This curvy line is for carried forward. Let's do capital gain. Short-term capital loss of 16,000. Guys, this is short-term. And long-term gain of 15,400. So can I set off short-term again long-term? Yes, you can, guys. Long-term is unique blood, but short-term is not. You know, the entire chapter of set off is through a blood bank example, if you remember. So 16,000 minus 15,400 will give you 600 rupee loss. This loss will also have to be carried forward, unfortunately, because you cannot set it off against any other head. Next, guys, just 1 second. The next part is income from betting. 34,000, 46,000 is from cards. That is casual income, guys. Nothing happens to casual income. You cannot do any set off from casual income. So casual income, 36,000 I think is one, and one more was 40 something thousand. Let's see, 34 and 46, my bad. So 34,000 and 46,000. No one can touch this because this is casual income. No set off from these. And there was one more, horses. That is 14,600. But that one is unique blood, 14,600. So that loss will be carried forward. So let's see how the computation works, guys. This 2,58,000, can I set it off? Yes, but maximum 2 lakh can be set off. So 2 lakh I will minus from this. So salary income finally will be 22,000. PG, IFHP, there will be a loss of 58,000, which will be carried forward. So there will be a note of 58,000 that will be carried forward. Because you don't have any other income, otherwise you could have set it off. This loss will be carried forward. This loss will be carried forward. This loss will be carried forward. 14,600 will be carried forward. But these two casual incomes, 34 and 46,000, that is about 80,000 rupees, that will also be taxable. So salary income plus casual income. Salary income, there will be no tax because this is below the basic exemption limit. For 80,000, even if it's below the basic exemption, they will calculate tax at the rate of 30% because the government expects tax at 30% on this case. Find out the GTI and the losses to be carried forward. No tax calculation, so good for us. Enumerate the cases where a return of loss has to be filed on or before the return due date under 139(1) for carry forward of losses. Also enumerate the cases where losses can be carried forward even though the loss return has not been filed, as loss return is under section 139(3). Just 1 minute. Loss return is under section 139(3). And 139(3) says that if you don't file a loss return in time, then you cannot carry forward losses except 3 losses. One is unabsorbed depreciation. One is income from house property. And also, guys, that family planning expenditure, scientific research that you can carry forward. So these 3 you can carry forward, otherwise nothing you can carry forward. In the following cases, find out whether they are required to file return of income or loss for the year. Let's see. Manish and Sons sold a residential house on which there was a long-term capital gain of 12 lakhs, which was invested in capital gain bonds. So it was basically exempted. So that means his income was 0. But remember, guys, your return of income filing requirement is there if your GTI, including 54, so excluding 54, 54 you have to ignore, is more than the basic exemption limit. So here, if I ignore 54 exemption, then his GTI is 12 lakh, which is more than the basic exemption limit. So yes, you will have to file return. 1.5 marks is yours. Archana was born in Germany and married in India. So born in Germany, married in India. Her residential status is ROR. She owns a car in Germany, which she uses for personal purposes during a visit. Guys, if you're an ROR and coffee, remember coffee. C is current account. F is foreign expenditure. Coffee, sorry. E is electricity, and O is O if you own any asset abroad. She owns any asset abroad. This is only for ROR. If you're an RNOR and if you own any asset abroad, you will be taxable. So yes, she will have to file a return of income. Sudhakar had incurred expenditure of 1 lakh towards consumption of electricity. Again, coffee, if you remember. E is electricity. If your electricity bill is more than 1 lakh rupees, then you will have to compulsorily file a return of income. That, guys, that ends part 1 DT. That is almost like very good paper for DT, guys. You can score a lot. In fact, this is going to be one paper where you can definitely get an exemption because that's how easy this was, or at least we feel it because we've done the right way of studies. If you're looking at clearing the exams of November and May in the right same spirit, please do join the crash course that starts on August 11th. Let's look at the IDT portion immediately now. Let's look at the IDT part now, guys. Section B is the IDT part. Let's have a look at it. X Electronics is a registered manufacturer of electrical appliances. Guys, X is a supplier of electrical appliances, manufacturer and supplier. So I'm putting X in the middle. It made contract with dealers at purchase of air conditioners of capacity 1.5 ton in the month of October 2020 of quantity of more than 50 units will entitle them a 20% discount. So guys, he's given an offer of discount of 10% if you buy more than 50 units. Let's see what happens ahead. Interstate supply made during the month of October 2020 is 50 lakh. Details of interstate supply are as under. Guys, interstate means one state to the other. That means IGST. On 50 lakh, there will be IGST. On intrastate, this is the detail. So on 50 lakh, you'll have to multiply it by 18%, assuming the IGST rate is 18%. Here, they've given you the rate. The rate of CGST, SGST, and IGST is 9, 9, 18%. So that will be multiplied by 18%. So you'll have to pay that kind of IGST. So this into 18%, this is the IGST that you need to pay. That will be your liability. I'm unable to write on this sheet of the PDF, so you'll have to bear with me. I will not be able to write, I'll just discuss it with you. Further, intrastate, guys, he supplied microwave oven. So this is 99% CGST and SGST, that will also go in the liability. Refrigerators with stabilizers is a mixed supply. Guys, if you know that mixed and composite, the main supply tax rate will apply. In case of mixed, the higher rate will apply. Refrigerator 28%, stabilizer 18%. So on the entire thing, they will have to multiply with 28%, 14% CGST, 14% SGST. And supply of air conditioner capacity 1.5 ton is 50,000. And guys, here is a note: X Electronics made supply of air conditioners to only one dealer named L. So he will get a discount on 50 lakh. You'll apply a 10% discount. So that is 45 lakh. On 45 lakh, you will multiply it by 9% CGST, 9% SGST. That is something that you'll have to pay. This is your liability. Now let's see what is your input tax credit. Raw materials that you bought, 20 lakh. This is again intrastate, so 99% CGST, SGST. This will be your credit. Gym membership for employees. Sorry, you do not get gym membership credit unless it's a requirement. Gym membership for employees is not obligatory, so no credit. This is blocked under section 17(2)(b). Truck purchase for transportation. On this truck, 99% CGST, SGST. Again, you will get. So no problem with truck, because only other than goods, etc. If you remember the shortcut GST, please. If it's for goods, if it's for selling ahead, if it's for transportation, and if it's for passengers more than 13 vehicles, then you get, this is truck for goods, so you'll get credit of this. So these are the credits you will get. Plus you have an opening balance of 58,000, 70,000. 1 second. Plus guys, you have an opening balance of 58,000, 70,000 and 10 lakh. That's your opening balance. You will use your opening balance plus your input tax credit to first pay IGST. Guys, first, whatever is your IGST, that you'll exhaust. The IGST is like a parent. First, he will pay its own bill. First, IGST will be exhausted. After it's exhausted, it will help CGST and SGST, whichever is more needy. If you remember, the first parents will pay their own bill, and then they will help that kid which is more needy. So they will pay CGST or SGST, which is more needy. And then once it's exhausted, only then you use the CGST and SGST to pay SGST and CGST liabilities. If that is the first sum, guys, that will get you a couple of marks. Next one, compute the ITC available for the month of December by giving an ST explanation. Assume that all the other conditions for ITC have been fulfilled. Let's see whether ITC you'll get or not. A Limited procured the following goods. Goods used in construction of additional floor of office building. Guys, if you construct a building or you ask someone else to construct a building, again, both the GST is blocked, section 17(2)(d). Remember, C is where you construct, someone else constructs it. D is where you yourself develop it. This is blocked, so you'll not get GST. Goods given as free samples. Guys, samples make people happy. If you remember our shortcut 17(2)(h), happy, this will also be blocked. Trucks used for transportation of inputs in the factory, this will be allowed. Inputs used in trial runs, this will be allowed because trial runs are also part of your business. Confectionery item for consumption of employees, not allowed. Sorry. Cement used for making foundation and structural support for plant and machinery. Guys, while you create something under 17(2)(d) and say it is blocked, but for foundation for plant and machinery is not blocked, so this one will be allowed. So this is allowed, and 3 things allowed, 3 things blocked. That's your ITC. Those are 6 marks, guys, with sections with clauses, if you remember our shortcuts. Explain the composite supply and mixed supply. If a trader launches a package sales for marriage containing double bed, refrigerator, washing machine, wooden wardrobe at a single rate. So all this, you let's say you get for 5 lakh rupees. Is it composite? Is it mixed? It is mixed. But if he's issuing invoice showing value of each good separately, if each good value is shown separately, then the tax rate which is applicable to that good will apply. If there's only one rate, that is 5 lakh, then whichever is the highest rate will apply. But if it's separately given, that out of 5 lakh, 50,000 is for double bed, 50,000 for refrigerator, then individual rates will apply. Perfect. Guys, pre-limited, a registered person provided the following. They have provided this GST, GST on GTA services. Guys, GTA is here. It's reverse charge. Explain the meaning of aggregate turnover and compute the aggregate turnover. Guys, aggregate turnover means all your output supplies. Aggregate turnover means all that use outward, whether it is exempt outward, whether it is export supply, whether it is taxable exempt, everything except three things. You don't take GST in it, no. Other taxes you take, you don't take GST. You don't take any interest, and you don't take anything which is inward. Even if it's on RCM basis, you don't take inward. So these three things you don't take. So interstate outward supply, do you take? Yes, you will take this. Interstate exempt outward, you will take this. Outward, the moment you see outward, you will take it. Turnover of exported goods, you will take this one also. Payment of IGST, you will not take GST. Payment of CGST, SGST, you will not take this. Payment of custom duty, you will take this, no problem. Payment of GTA, guys, GTA is inward supply. You are paying on RCM, this you will not take. So you don't take three things. GST you don't take. Interest, there was not interest, but if that was, that you will not take. And inward you will not take. This again, guys, is 5 marks. Look how easy the paper is. XYZ Private Limited manufactures beauty soap with a brand name called Forever Beauty. They have organized a concert to promote its brand. Mrs. Mahima, Miss Mahima is a brand ambassador, who is a leading film actress, has given a classical dance performance in a said concert. The proceeds of the concert are 1,25,000. Explain with relevant provisions of GST whether Miss Mahima will be required to pay GST. Guys, generally, if you perform in a concert, up to 1.5 lakhs, if it's a classical dance concert, dance, music, art, if it's that kind of concert, there is no GST. Unless, guys, you're a brand ambassador. She's a brand ambassador. So hence there will be GST on this as long as Mahima is registered under GST. What will be the answer? If the proceeds of the concert are donated to a charitable trust, even then does not matter. GST will still apply. Explain who is required to furnish the final return. Guys, final return, if you remember our example, GST are 10. After 10 bikes, you sell 10 bikes, or if after 10 years of operation, you have to file GST are 10. That is the final return. And that is filed under section 45. If you remember our shortcuts, guys, 45 and GST are 10. The time limit for filing the final return is, guys, when the last return is the final return. The final return has to be filed within 3 months from the date of cancellation or date of order of cancellation, whichever is later. And late fee, as if you don't file this on time, then it's 100 rupee per day or maximum 5,000. The next one is my favorite, whether the following people are supposed to be registered or not. And that's one of the last questions, guys, whether they're going to be registered or not. As you know, in GST, registration is given under section 22. And if you cross a certain threshold of turnover, you have to get registered. Guys, step 1 is PIGS. That's our shortcut, if you remember. P is prohibited goods. You should not be manufacturing prohibited goods. You should not be doing interstate. You should be doing only goods. And you should not be in some states like Putsam, Puducherry, Uttarakhand, Telangana, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, and Manipur. You should not be in those states. And NTMM, Nagaland, Tripura, Manipur, Mizoram, you should not be in those states. So if you're not in those states, then 40 lakh turnover. Step 2 is NTMM, Nagaland, Tripura, Manipur, and Mizoram. If you're in these states, then 10 lakh turnover. And step 3, just 1 second, my page is hanging up. And step 3, Nagaland, Tripura, Manipur, Mizoram, then it's 10 lakhs. And step 3 is the residuary where you get 20 lakh turnover limit. Let's see one by one. Krishna of Himachal Pradesh is exclusively engaged in intrastate taxable supply of ready-made suits. His turnover in the current financial year from Himachal Pradesh is 25 lakhs. But he has 2 more showrooms, one in Manipur and one in Sikkim, with a turnover of 15 and 18. Guys, you have to see one pan, one turnover. So his total turnover is 25 plus 5, 15. That is 40 plus 18. That is 58 lakhs. So no matter wherever he is, he will have to register because his threshold is above 40. So he will have to register. But another tip I'll give you guys, if one of them is in Manipur, then he will be in step number 2, which is more than 10 lakhs, so he'll have to get registered. Ankit of Telangana is exclusively engaged in interstate taxable supply of footwear. His aggregate turnover is 25 lakh. Let's see pigs. Is he in prohibited goods? No. Footwear is not prohibited. Is it only intrastate? Yes, it is only intrastate. Is only goods? Yes, footwear only goods. Is he in one of those states of food stamp? Puducherry, Uttarakhand, Telangana? Yes. So not first step. Then step 2, is he NTMM? No. Then step 3, 20 lakhs. And he's crossed that, so he'll have to register. Let's look at the third one. Akash of Uttar Pradesh is exclusively engaged in interstate supply of pan masala. Let's see if it pigs. Is it prohibited goods? Yes, pan masala is prohibited goods, so it can't be step 1. Step 2, is he in NTMM? No. Then step 3, it's 20 lakh and he's crossed that, so he'll have to get registered. Who can be a GST practitioner under section 48? Guys, GST practitioner has to be someone who's a citizen of India. He has to be of sound mind and he should not be insolvent. That are the basic qualifications. Next, he should be a BCom or a bachelor's in banking, etc. Or he should have been a sales tax practitioner for at least 5 years, or he should have been a government servant in grade B for at least 2 years, or he should have been a CA, CS lawyer, CMA. Then in those cases, you can be a sales tax GST practitioner. As that question is for how many marks? It's for 5 marks, so you can write any 5-7 conditions to get your 5 marks. That was the paper. Guys, as you saw, the tax paper can be very, very scoring if you studied really well. My way of teaching is I give you a lot of shortcuts to remember so that you can revise easily, and lots of that you will see in the tax crash course. The tax crash course will cover every chapter, be it DT, be it IDT. We will solve a lot of questions, including examination questions. I hope to see you there. Also subscribe to Unacademy to get a whole list of educators and to get access to all of them. All the best.